Hello, welcome along to Friday Forum Live. Apparently we had some audio issues, so we're back with you. Hopefully you can hear us as well as see us. Let's go again. So just to introduce my partner in crime this week, this is JC Concato, who's the head of college here at Point Blank. He's also very heavily involved with the course development side of things. So any questions that I can't answer about the courses, he'll definitely be able to answer. So if you're interested in any kind of course content, some of the material that's covered on the courses, feel free to send us a question right now via the comments section. You can also email us or call us in all the usual ways via the website. But yeah, JC will be demonstrating some mixing techniques in Logic. We're going to be using some material taken from the drum and bass course. So if you're a drum and bass head, stay tuned. Or if you're interested in the kind of mixing and mastering side of things, you're at that point with your tracks where they're finished but they're missing that final kind of professional polish. Again, stay tuned because we've got some vital tutorial tricks and techniques coming your way very shortly. A couple of other things to tell you about, the most pressing of which is, if I jump on the front page of the online school, you can see here there's just 2 days left to enrol. 2 days. So if you're planning to take a course, you need to move fairly swiftly to get a place for next week. You can enrol online via the website. If you've got any questions, you can ask them right now, live, via Friday Forum Live in the comments section. You can also contact us over here by phone, by email. There's a live chat function as well if you want to just ask a quick question of a course advisor. But get those questions in quickly because, as I said, the class is starting just 2 days' time. So what else do I need to tell you? If we also look a bit further down the homepage here at the degree level programs, if you're a regular follower of the website and the blog and Friday Forum, you'll know that from September we're offering a degree level program that is validated by Middlesex University. There's actually 2 courses, a Cert HE and a Dip HE, which are essentially the first and second year of a degree level course. So you can find out all about those here. As you can see, there's a nice little movie that you can watch that just sort of introduces the courses and tells you a little bit more about how they work. They're a little bit different from the regular online courses, so a bit more demanding in terms of your time, a bit more demanding academically as well. Obviously you're working towards a degree, so we're going to push you a little bit harder on these courses. There's some academic work as well as the sort of the practical work that you're kind of used to with Point Blank. So yeah, if you're interested in those, you'll find all the information here. If you're interested in applying, we're accepting applications right now. Email us via the website and we can send you the application forms. One other thing I was going to mention, just to remind you, until the end of July, excuse me, my voice is giving out. Until the end of July, you can refer a friend to Point Blank and claim a discount of £30. So again, you need to move pretty quickly because there's only a week and a bit left to take advantage of that offer. But yeah, you can refer a friend to Point Blank and save some money on your course. So we're offering a discount of £30 for every person that you refer to the school. There's no upper limit, so you can just keep telling your friends, they can keep enrolling and you can keep claiming discounts. Full details of how to do that you'll find on the blog, which is right here. So take a look at that. There's also loads of other good stuff on the blog. Again, if you're a regular on Friday Forum, you'll know I'm always going on about this, but there's some great stuff on here from competitions to details of free guest lectures. The details of the July offer are just here. So July offer, bring a friend to Point Blank and get paid. You'll find all the info you need there. So that's it from the sort of news perspective. Please, as I said, get in touch. Let us know where you're watching from. As always, if you've got any questions about what you're about to see JC demonstrate, again, let us know in the comments. If you've got any questions about the courses, fire away with those as well. But for now, I'll hand over to JC and he can give you a quick expert guide to the mixing process. Over to JC.
Cool. Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial. So we've decided on this one to tackle some basic techniques about vocal mixing. There's a lot of questions that I always see on different forums and different blogs about, how do you approach, how do you get that sound, how do you get to make it sound like a record? I mean, the key thing about vocal is as soon as you put vocal onto a track, it becomes inevitably the big center of attention. No matter how big is the backing track, as soon as you hear vocal, we can't help it. This is what we are going to focus on. So they've got to be right. No matter how great is the production on the backing track, if the vocal is a little bit weak, whether it's in terms of the performance, in terms of sonically, then it kind of falls down a little bit. It's going to fall apart, and the track isn't working. Simple as that. So here we've got a track. We've selected a track from the drum and bass course that starts next Monday, I believe.
It does start on Monday, yeah.
So it's one of the backing track, and it's one of the producer called Zero T who's produced this liquid track. It has been released already, and it had originally vocals on it, but he's provided us with an instrumental for which we recorded our own vocal with students that was actually on the vocal class.
Yeah, graduate of the singing course here.
So there's some
vocal for it.
So there's some really, really nice vocal on there. So let's have a listen, and I'm going to take you through. I've basically, as you can see, I've bypassed everything I've done, so I can take you through. I've done literally a 30-minute kind of basic mix on it, just to show you some of the most important techniques in relation to mixing vocal. So let's have a quick listen first. So that we've got our verse here, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of track just on the verse, and here is our choruses. To start with, what I'm probably going to do is actually color those, because otherwise you don't know what you're dealing with. So I tend to have my own kind of set of colors, lead vocals in red, harmony, orange, but go with whatever. It's just that for me, that way I can very simply know what's going on my orange page. I just want to be able to work really, really quickly. So let's have a listen. So what you notice straight away is that the vocals have been recorded quite low in levels. In my opinion, far too low. What it means is that once you start getting compression effects and all that kind of stuff, it's so low in the mix that you're going to have to kind of start changing your settings quite a lot. And I like to work with a really good level structure throughout. So first thing I've done, I have a check here. I've put a gain plugin on all of them. I'm going to look at the setting. Yeah, plus 10 dB. Now, if you look at the levels here on the meters,
if we just make
they're too loud in the mix, but I can then turn them down on the fader. But what it means is I will have a much better level going into my compression, going into all my effect, all my inserts. So that's the first thing that you need to tackle. So we've got those 4 tracks, and then we've got 2 harmony tracks here. So let's work first maybe on the verse. So I'm going to set the locator here so it's plays. So first thing you notice, quite unconventional to have that many tracks for the lead vocal. 4 tracks is quite a lot. It's quite common to have a double track, but having 4 tracks playing, it's a bit thick, it's a bit too much. So you'll have to come up with some sort of decision. So normally the conventional approach, for example, would have to be, you would have your lead vocal somewhere along those lines, and then maybe the double track underneath. On this one, because it's kind of a riff and it's quite atmospheric vocal, I think we can get away with using the 4 of them, but let's have a different approach. So what we could do here is have them roughly at that level. Let's try something here. Maybe we could try to pan them a little bit together. Okay, now you noticed as well what I've done is all the versed vocals here, which are all those tracks, they're all going into bus 1. Bus 1 is coming back here, and I've named it Vox Verses. So all the vocals here are controlled literally by this channel. I've used the Nox to do that. So the way you can do that, I can show you quickly how normally you would go. Select all of them, go there, sending it into bus 1. Here you are, done. So you see, they're all controlled here. So that's the first thing. So once you're happy with the kind of levels, let's start bringing as well the double track. So the double track, I'm going to put the double track much lower in the mix, because otherwise, like I said, it's far too thick too thick, you know. So here, and I could pan them a little bit just to get a bit of width for the double tracks. I'm going to treat those BVs a little bit as if they were backing vocals, basically. So that works pretty well. So now the first thing you're going to be doing on vocals is probably a mixture of EQ and compression. I've seen a lot of those questions coming up. Do you put compressor before the EQ before the compressor afterwards? You know, different techniques. Normally when you're mixing, a lot of mix engineers would tend to have the compressor first for the reason that you can control the dynamic, especially on vocal. You've got a massive range of dynamics. You know, if you look, obviously, like I say, it wasn't recorded too loud, but if we look at the waveform here, you see there's quite a bit of peaks and dynamics. So what you would tend to have is a compressor to kind of bring that a little bit together, get it to gel together, and then starting to shape the sound with the EQ. There are times where you're going to have the EQ before the compressor, especially if a vocal has got some major problems, such as, for example, a massive rumble. If you have a big rumble on a vocal, you'd better get rid of it with the EQ first, because by the time it hits the compressor is going to react to that rumble more than the actual vocal. So it's going to really change the way the compressor behaves and not really do what you want it to do. In this case, let's have a listen to the vocal.
You never look my way.
And I'm gonna
feel your heart.
I'm gonna bypass what I've done. I've already kind of EQ'd a little bit for you guys. But if you look at the analyzer here, I'm gonna make it bigger so you can see, hopefully, better on the screen. Are you noticing here? I'm really hearing those bad resonance around those kind of frequencies. So what I've done is I really wanted to get rid of them before. And because we've got 4 tracks, I think we really need to kind of thin it out. There's 2 reasons for that. It's a drum and bass track, there's massive bass on it, it's quite full on, and it's a genre where you can have the vocal a little bit thinner. And you see the difference how it works. So the way you identify resonance, you know, typically is you're going to go there, and you're really hearing it here. So you're bringing it down, something like that. And I've done a little bit more higher, and a little bit also getting rid of the sub that we really don't need. But those things, although we don't really hear it, it really triggers your compression really badly. So I get rid of it. So now that I'm happy with that, because effectively the vocals here, they're all doing the same thing, those 4 tracks, what I've done is effectively, I've just copied the EQ across the whole thing. So now let's have a listen. This works a lot better. Straight away, it blends better. One of the reasons as well is what you're looking at with vocal is make sure they really mix nice and blend really nicely with the backing track. Now, if I take the EQ off again, you see the resonance, not only the resonance was really peaking, booming, but also the vocal is not as bright. That means to be able to hear it, I need to push the volume. If I push the volume, the vocal doesn't seem to sit in the track, it seems to sit on top of it. And that's what you try to aim to do with EQ, is to try to get the vocal to sit more with the backing track. So here we are. So first stage EQ dealt with. So next stage, compression. Let's look at here. I've added a little bit more because I still feel that here on the bus, the vocal could be a little bit more controlled again. And again, it's in this area, you know, really bad resonance. So now I think it has fixed the vocal really nicely. So now in terms of compression for vocal, like any instrument, there's 2 ways you're going to use compression. One, to reduce the peaks, you know, all those peaks that we see on the waveforms, or one, to kind of control a bit more the dynamic range, the overall dynamic range. So with vocal, it's not unusual to actually use 2 types of compression to really try to keep those vocals sitting really nicely and bring a bit of presence as well. So let's look first at here, the first setting. Again, let me zoom this window. So you see what I've done here? I've used the peak mode. I'm using a relatively high ratio, 4:1, but it could be 6, 8:1. What it means is here, I'm not compressing all the time. I'm only compressing, literally reducing the level only when on the big peak, which are above that threshold. For that purpose, I'm using a small, very fast attack. You see on the long notes, it doesn't stay here, compression is not acting in, only on the peaks. I didn't even compensate for the gain, it's literally just keeping it on control here, compare without.
If we just make a way and let them talk.
Okay, now you noticed as well we've got some BVs coming on here at the end of the verse, so I'd like to quickly bring that in as well, make it work better.
If we just make a way
And it's too loud, you know, it needs to be discreet.
and let them talk.
And we've got a low one as well here.
What would our hearts say? They'd say the word. If we just make a way
The low harmony is quite nice, it brings really something really
and
nice
let
to it.
them talk.
And a bit of the high as well. So we bring that back in.
What would our hearts say?
Yeah, much nicer now.
They'd say the word.
So now, what I'm doing, and like I said, it's not unusual to have several compression on the same stuff. You know, it's better to compress a little bit, in my opinion, and several times, than really compress the shit out of it. and you really hear the compression, especially if, you know, if your compressor isn't that great. You really start hearing pumping and stuff. So it depends what you're looking for. But here, what I want now is another type of compression. Usually you're going to have a lower ratio, 1.5, 2, 3:1 maximum. I'm going to have a RMS mode, but then the threshold is going to go deeper into the music. Check it out, the effects. Slow attack as well, so I'm not compressing the peak. I've taken care of that with the previous compression. And let's have a listen.
If we just make a way
And you see the difference here, it's compressing all the time, but gentler as well. What it does, it brings the low level higher and the high level, it brings, you know, everything together, it rebalances out.
they'd say the word.
And you notice now that you've got a cast.
If we
Yeah?
just
Do you have any question?
There's a few come in, yeah. So
Cool.
we'll take a quick break and just
Yeah.
just jump in and reply to some of these people that
Sweet.
have got in touch. So people watching all over the world as usual. So yeah, nice to have you with us. A few questions coming in. Is this a British college or secondary school? Yeah, we're based in London, UK. For those of you that aren't familiar, but we teach students all over the world, especially via the online courses. So we have students from literally the four corners. You can study these classes from anywhere in the world. So all the courses we're talking about today, essentially you can study from anywhere, you don't need to be in London. Can you apply via UCAS? You will be able to apply via UCAS for the degree level courses. That's in process at the moment, so you can apply direct to us. That's the quickest and easiest route to reserve a place. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the places on that course are pretty strictly limited because it only enrolls once a year. So most of the courses you'll find on our website enrol monthly. The degree level courses enrol once a year, so you've got one chance basically, which is in September. So if you are interested, get in touch as soon as you can and we'll send you the application forms. But you will be able to apply via UCAS, you know, within the next month or two. Digital Puppy, who's a regular. How you doing? I study audio engineering and was wondering, after I get my audio engineering diploma, if I could continue at Point Blank to get a degree. Of course you can, yeah, we'd love to have you here. There are entry requirements for the course, but if you've previously studied audio engineering at diploma level, then I'd say you're in pretty good shape
Yeah, I would imagine.
for that course. So yeah, again, get that application in as soon as you can, basically. Mega Jtron, which is a great name. You sound like you should be a transformer. Do previous students get discounts on different courses? Absolutely, yeah. If you've taken a course with us before, you will get a discount if you return to take additional courses. The best way to get those discounts is to book one of the programs that we offer, which basically is a custom package of lots of courses bundled together. So if you want to save money, that's a great way to do it. If you don't want to go down that route, but you end up taking more than one course, then yeah, we'll absolutely look after you and give you a discount when you return to take additional courses. Hi Ethan in Norwich, hi Dubai, hi to John's in Dublin. We've got someone watching in Russia who YouTube seemed to think is spam, but isn't. Pablo, what about accommodation in London if I come and study at Point Blank? We can help you with that, yeah. There's some information on the website. If you're looking on the course page, look to the right and there's an FAQ. There's some information about accommodation in there, or email a course advisor. Easiest way to do that is advice@pointblanklondon.com, and we'll be able to send you some information on accommodation. And finally, hi to Mr. Melsel in Saudi Arabia. Nice to have you with us today as well. I'll hand you back to JC and we can continue with this drum and bass mix.
No question about mixing at the
Yeah,
moment?
get those mixing questions in.
Yeah.
You've got a professional mix engineer sitting here. JC started out his career at Matrix Studios in London. He's worked with Bjork, he's worked with Portishead, he's worked with, who else?
Pressure Drop.
Pressure Drop. There's a long and distinguished list. So if you've got, questions about the mixing process, then he's the guy to speak to. Get your questions in and we'll try and tackle them before the end. We're on air for about another 10 minutes.
Cool. So, so I'll crack on with that and try to show you some more exciting stuff now. So now that we've got our EQ and compression, we're going to move on to FX. The main effects used on to get a bit of space and depth into your mix is going to be reverb. You tend to use reverb a lot on vocals. Now, the type of reverbs will depend on the track as well. It can be short reverb, it can be longer reverb. On this track, it's quite a fast track, but the vocal being half tempo, drum and bass has kind of its roots in reggae a little bit, so you can really kind of go slightly longer effects. Long reverbs are going to work really well on this verse vocal anyway. As you can hear, quite a gentle. So to set up a reverb, I set it up here on an aux, and again I use an aux because the idea of a mix when you set up a reverb like you do on a board or a virtual board, is to help gelling everything together. So it's quite common to have a short reverb, a long reverb on different channels using different auxes, and then you can send, you can share those reverbs between your vocal, your synth, and sharing those effects together. It's one of the things that helps getting everything to gel together in a much better way, rather than have 5 type difference of reverb on each channel, and then you end up it's not really coherent in any way. It's like having people in different places, one in a bathroom, one in the hall, one outside. It just doesn't make sense, sonically. So here I've used a space designer for that, and when it comes to reverb, hall, plates, rooms tend to work well. Personally, a big favorite of mine is a plate, and a lot of people tend to use plate reverb. And Space Designer's got a nice preset called Nice Plate, in large spaces. Here, plate reverb, nice plate, 2.3 seconds. It's the kind of time that I think is going to work on that track really well. So let's solo the vocal and have a listen. I'm going to put the reverb now in.
You never look my way.
Something you should be aware with reverb, which is an important factor, especially with the longer they are actually. You can really swamp the whole thing. And something you need to be aware of is as soon as you put reverb on something, you're bringing the actual part back in the mix. So at first you start, it's up front, it's dry.
You never
So here, completely dry up front. Bring the reverb in, and suddenly listen with the track. You're pushing it back in the mix, and the more you're gonna add reverb, it's becoming more and more back. And also because the bigger the reverb, the more swamp and losing the presence of it. So if you want that kind of large reverb on a track, which really works on this track, I think, it's got a nice reverb. but you want to keep the vocal up front. What you need to use is the pre-delay. That's something that a lot of engineers use. I've even seen engineers actually sending a delay into the reverb. So to make sure that basically you've got your dry signal, then the reverb following afterwards, but still the signal, the reverb up is kind of nice and present. So have a listen here. Now you can hear.
But I feel your heart.
You see the small 10 milliseconds of pre-delay now that
It's screaming out my name.
I've added here really makes a big difference.
And mine is yours.
Instead of exploding straight away, you're getting it a bit afterwards. So that's one thing to be aware of. So straight away it works better. Now it's shading nicely.
You never look my way.
Cool.
But I feel.
Another way to get space is using delays on vocal. And again, on this track, I think a longish delay is going to work. So what I've done here, as I'm using the tape delay, I'm a big fan of the tape delay. The tape delay is basically an emulation of those old tape echo that used to work with a tape. What it means is that it fluctuates a little bit. It's not as digital and doesn't repeat, you know, like a sample that repeats after each other. It has that kind of nice vibe. So I'm going to put it on a little bit. And what I like to do as well is I don't like to work in sync with the tempo. I tend to like to get my delays entered manually. The way I do that is that you can use delay calculator. There's a lot of free apps on the internet, or also website. Have a look here, for example. I've got this tempo and delay calculator. Just enter the tempo, 174. And here you get all those values which are in milliseconds, delay times. What I like to do to get a bit of a vibe is not get it straight on it, especially on kind of more dubby effect and stuff like that. You like to have a bit of a laziness. So, you know, move your delay time a little bit. So here you can see, for example, I want to use a fourth, but I want to use the kind of dotted fourth. So it's going to have that kind of bouncy delay. So it's 517. And what I've done here is I've got a little bit behind. So it's not bang on, you know, it's not like, imagine it's a bit like not quantizing a beat. It's kind of playing with the groove a little bit. So let's have a listen.
You never look my way.
I'm going to put it really loud.
But I feel your heart.
So you really hear now the effect, the kind of
It's
dubby.
screaming out my name.
And you can notice here that I'm getting rid of the bottom end and some of the top end. It makes the delay sounds a bit more interesting, I think.
If we just make a way and let them talk.
By doing that, the delay becomes a bit more blend in the music, doesn't mix up with the kick, with the bass, with the synth. So straight away, it's a bit more interesting. One technique is you don't have to have that delay all the time. You know, have a listen here. You could have it.
You never look my way.
If you have it like that, it works fine, you know, at a low level, but it gives a bit more depth. And a technique as well that I like is actually, you see here, I've got my delay. It goes into the delay, and I'm sending the delay back into the reverb. What it means is, it just gives you this kind of really interesting texture behind.
You never look my way.
You see the depth now that it has.
But I feel
you see how it blends in the track.
It's screaming out my name.
And one of the techniques, what you will do is basically automate that, you know, either with a controller or...
If we just make a way.
You see I'm doing it on at the end of the phrases. So that works really, really nicely. There's something else we can do. We can start looking at making it a bit more interesting, more dubby. So that
tackle some questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a few come in actually since
Cool.
the last little session. So let's have a look. You're getting some respect from our friends in France.
Oh, welcome. Bonjour.
So let's have a look. Someone was asking Live 8 or Logic 9. This is Mr. Melsel. It's a question we get asked a lot, and there is no definitive answer, essentially. If you speak to 10 people, 5 of them are going to tell you that live is great, 5 of them are going to tell you that Logic is great. A lot of it depends on what you want to do.
Totally.
So the best thing to do is get in touch. Drop us an email. We need to find out a bit more about you, what your background is. Are you coming from a DJ perspective? Are you making, what sort of music are you making? That kind of thing. But yeah, we'll be happy to have a chat and talk you through that. But as I said, it's a question we get asked an awful lot. On the mixing mastering front, what tools plugin would you recommend for putting on the master channel when mastering to get that extra volume?
Well, I mean, basically, the classic chain is going to be a mixture of EQ, compression, maybe multi-band compression, and multi-band compression should be quite subtle, and then you're going to end up, the thing that gives you the volume is a limiter, basically. You know, the adaptive limiter in Logic, it's pretty good, it's a decent one. Aqualab the L2 from Waves, it's just really simple, works well, works across a lot of channels. The L3 is good, there's loads of limiters, you know, the Sonox is really good, Aqualab the UAD as well. Flux do a decent limiter, Voxengo Elephant is a good limiter, so there's loads of them, man. But yeah, limiting is going to be the key, you know.
Could you please explain K-metering and how worthwhile it is?
K-metering, so that the Bobcats thing that he's trying to set up, I don't think it's that important. I don't know of any audio mastering I've worked in, and I've worked in, you know, I've done masters with mastering engineer at Abbey Road, Sterling Sound, with really, you know, guys, very experienced guys who've worked on million-selling records, and none of them seems to be bothered about the K-metering. The point of the K-metering is, what he's trying to do, Bobcats, is to get consistency, so that if I master something here using the K-metering and you master something in your studio using the K-metering, we hear the same level. The reality is, because yeah, it's a problem that there's no standard in leveling and in terms of how loud, you know, especially for broadcasting and cinema, but I wouldn't bother about that at that stage. There's more important things, you know. Good monitoring is more important than K12 or K20 metering.
There you go. So that's the K-metering question answered. We've got a couple of other people who've got in touch. I don't have any background of production. I'm from Liverpool. I'm a bit confused. I'm not even going to Capable Pablo. Hi, Pablo.
Hey, man.
Don't be confused. We've got lots and lots of courses for beginners. The stuff we're covering today is admittedly a bit more advanced.
A little bit more, yeah, in the sense that you need to understand the mixer in Logic.
Yeah. So this is a way down the line, basically. But we've got beginners courses on Ableton Live, on Logic, on Cubase. So again, you know, get in touch. You can contact us via the website. We'll be happy to talk you through the options and explain some of the courses that are perhaps a bit more appropriate for beginners. But yeah, don't be baffled by anything you see today. I mean, JC's been mixing records for 20 years, so
that's far too long.
You know, this is a lot of experience you're getting condensed into like a half-hour tutorial on YouTube. So yeah, but we accept students from all over the world, all levels, backgrounds, abilities. So get in touch, and I'm sure we can find the right course for you. James T Music, I took the Logic Dubstep course, was great. Want to take the Deep House course next. That's good to hear, James. Yeah. Glad to hear you had a good experience. Next Deep House course starts on Monday. So get in touch, I'm sure we can find you a place. And as I mentioned before, you qualify for a discount. Good news, right? So yeah, get in touch and we'll be happy to offer you a discount on your follow-up course. Will those who want to start the Logic Online course have access to the studios at Point Blank, just to try the equipment once a week? The answer, unfortunately, Andrew, is no. I mean, we'd love to see you. You're welcome to come in and take a look around, but the studios here at Point Blank College in London are reserved for the students on the college courses. So one of the reasons why the online courses, I went all West Country there for a second, online courses. One of the reasons that the online courses are much cheaper is because you're learning from home. So you can save an awful lot of money by learning from home. If you want to have the benefit of all the kind of top of the range equipment that we've got here at the studios in London, then you need to take one of the college courses. But we do offer tours every week, so you know, if you want to come and check out the equipment and the studios here, you're very welcome. So yeah, you know, get in touch if that's of interest. And finally, hello to DJ Noxie in Adelaide, South Australia. I think you were with us last week, so welcome back. We've got time for some more?
I can quickly finish we can let's quickly show you now how to use effects and make it now have some fun, creative stuff.
Let's finish with some
you
fun.
know? Let's finish with some fun. So, a couple of more things. I'm going to bring in the chorus now, just to show you the different approach I had in the chorus here on this track. They're all going into a bus, which is that one here. So I'm going to bring all the effects, and I'm going to show you quickly what I've done. With the chorus, I wanted to have something drier, because as you're going to hear now in the track.
Quick question while you're working there, JC. Someone's just posted the question, loving the tutorial. Do we need a condenser mic for recording vocal snippets, or will a stage vocal mic do?
If you mean vocal snippet to use as like short sample, anything will do. Because on top of it, you could probably process it, make it sound a bit more electronic, blah, blah. If it's small snippet. Now, after that, if you're going to proper vocal recording, usually a condenser is better. But I've seen people recording with SM58, you know, Portishead, for example. I know that Beth is recording our vocal with a 58, you know. So.
There you go.
Cool. So let's see here. So I've gone a lot drier on this. I've put a de-esser as well on the vocal on this one because there was a lot of S's. So as you can see here, I've got the de-esser here around at 8K where there's a lot of S's. Logic de-esser, I've got to say, is not the best, but if you go with it a bit gentle, it's okay. If you go too much about it, you know, with the de-esser, what you're going to end up is sounding like somebody's got no teeth, which is not a good sound or not a good look. So let's have a listen.
I think we could be something special if we just try.
So here, for me, you know, the verses had 4 vocals, but here it has only 2 during the main part. And I felt it's a bit thin, you know, it's the chorus. I really want to kind of have a lift. I should have more, if anything. I'm not going to go into production vocal, you know, you can create effect double tracking with a lot of plugins, you know. But what I've done as well, one technique to thicken up vocal is to use a pitch shift. Have a look here. I've set up 2 of them. And as you're going to see here on the mixer, one is on the left, one is on the right. Completely hard pan because it's the effect. And what I've got literally -9 cents on one side and +16 on the other. What it creates, check it out, because it's pretty cool.
I think we could be
Without
something special if we just try.
You see, it really helps.
I think we could be
This technique is used a lot on BVs, especially in R&B and pop. You know, those kind of mainstream pop, where you've got that kind of big wall vocal sound that you want. It really works nicely. So straight away you see how much nicer it works. I have a bit of reverb on it, not too much. I set up a different delay here as well.
I think we could be something special.
So again, you can bring in, you know, different places. And now let's go for a bit of fun.
Something special if we just try. I think we could be something special if we just.
So I'm going to show you now how you can dub it up a little bit more, make it a bit more interesting. So now here I've got this delay, end of the chorus going in. I'm going to get it quite heavily into the delay and then start playing with the delay a little bit and show you some techniques. What you can do as well is actually, after the delay, insert another effects. I really like the pedal board, so I've used this phaser on the pedal board, which in my opinion sounds a little bit better than the actual phaser in Logic. So let's check it out. So here, for example, you could freeze it and then bring the phaser. That's one thing you can do, which sounds pretty cool. And we're in the instrumental now, not doing anything, we've got that running in the background, brings a nice texture. And then another technique as well. So this freeze function, really nice, you know, use it, automate it. You can create some really grab a little section. It's about grabbing the right snippet of vocal, if you like. That's what I'm using send. You know, I'm sending it, just grab the right and it creates interesting texture. Another classic one is this kind of dubby effect. So let's have it. Let me redo it here. I'm gonna add basically more feedback. You know, typical dubbing. So yeah, that's gonna be your kind of typical effects. I mean, there's a lot more to do on vocals, obviously. You know, what's important to understand is that often, especially when there's a big vocal track, you're probably going to spend more time working on the vocal than anything else on the track because, like I said when we started, it's as soon as you've got vocal, that's the point of focus. This is what people are going to listen to, basically. So yeah.
Okay.
That's that for me.
So yeah, that's probably about all we've got time for this week. There's a couple of final. I think there's a bit of a discussion going on in the comments actually from people that are taking courses. So thanks for all the positive things you're saying. That's always really nice to hear. Were these vocals intentional, being created for the song, or they've been brought in later and stretched and fine-tuned? I'll just deal with that question very briefly, Christian. Yeah, they were created especially for the drum and bass course. So the track was produced by Zero T, who's one of the professional producers that contributes to the course. And then we asked one of the students who graduated from the course here to supply a new vocal for his track.
So she literally wrote the melody and the words.
So it's a brand new vocal for that track. But it forms part of the exclusive content that you get on that course. So drum and bass starts Monday, includes all of this stuff. What else can I tell you? We'll be back next week, same time, 1 o'clock from London. If there's something you'd like to see us talk about or demonstrate, or there's a question that's been kind of, burning away at you for weeks and weeks and you'd like to see us tackle it, get in touch. You can either post it in the comments here under this video, or you can get in touch via the website. If you're looking for more of this material, then you can find it all on our website in the courses that start on Monday. So this is basically just a tiny, tiny little taster of the kind of material you'd get on, for example, the mixing course.
Yeah, the 8-week mixing course. You've got a whole week on vocals. So that's the kind of stuff you would,
obviously, in just half an hour, we can't really do justice to the courses. But what we try and do is give you a little taste of what to expect. So yeah, we're back next week. We hope to see you then. If you've got any questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to get in touch. This has been Friday Forum Live. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Thanks a lot.